Hello, you guys, and welcome to another episode of Our Two Sons podcast. I'm Asia, one of your hosts, and my husband, Aaron, is one of the other ones. This is episode number 8 for us, which is super awesome. Um, we last time we chatted, we were in Australia, and we have since returned back to Canada, back to our home. And our episode today is going to be mostly just about like the last month of what it's been like in Australia, some of our favorite experiences, what the travel day coming home was like. So just kind of like filling you guys in on what we've been up to over the last 4 weeks, I suppose, and what it kind of is like our first impressions of being back. We've been back now for 4 days, 4 days, 5 days. I don't know. And yeah, so it's taken a little bit of an adjustment for us as we've transitioned back to Canadian living. And so we'll give you guys a little insight on that too. But yeah, I don't know, Aaron, why don't you just take it away from like the travel to Australia and kind of what that was like and like your first impression, I guess, of when we landed and got there.
In Australia, you're talking?
Yeah.
My first impression was that it was really nice. I liked a lot of things about Australia. Um, I don't know that I had necessarily a first impression of Australia. I mean, we had been traveling around for a long time, so everything was sort of different all the time. Um, but I thought Australia was awesome. Like I could see going back there for sure numerous
Yeah.
times.
Yeah.
It was just like I don't know, maybe part of me is just saying that because we were in places that were very different. Like
Right.
Costa Rica was Spanish speaking and kind of rugged and not much development, which is obviously very different than where we live in Canada. And then, being in Thailand is a cultural like complete shock. So it's very different. Very cool, both of them, but very different. So
Yeah.
think once you got to Australia, it felt very like homey and comfortable because people spoke English, and you're driving in a car as opposed to maybe some other method of transportation, like in Thailand. So there's a lot of familiarity with um, Australia.
Yeah.
Then culturally, it's very similar to Canada, so it was much easier to adapt being in Australia than it is trying to figure out Costa Rica or especially Thailand. So I thought it was great. And then where we were was really nice too. It was pretty hot, maybe 25, 30 degrees kind of on average, and the water is super clear and warm. And so it was really like a wonderful spot to go and spend some time. One of the things I wish that we could do, and one of the reasons why we're going to definitely go back, is just to explore some of the other areas. This is very different, like on the southern part of Australia, Sydney and Melbourne and Adelaide. It's very different down there than up in the north. And we were kind of at the midway point along the east coast. So being in the north is very tropical, and there's a lot of different animals that are exciting to see slash dangerous to see, which is something we like to do, especially with bakers. And then there's some other things down in the south that I would like to see as well, just some of the cities. And I definitely want to go watch the tennis tournament in Melbourne sometime in January. So I think just a reason for sure we'll go back is just to do some more exploration, and I would even like to go see the other side of the city of Perth. I one of the guys who I used to play on the golf team with here is actually lives in Perth, and I chatted with him a little bit before we went there, and he's suggested numerous spots that looked amazing. So I would like to go over there and check it out too. What did you think of getting off a plane from Bangkok to
Yeah, it was really refreshing for me. But I think too part of that is I was really over Thailand by the end. Like I think that like the 3 weeks would have been a sweet spot. And it was kind of like that last week that just was like, oh my goodness, what are we gonna do today? What are we gonna do today? Like it just was starting to get challenging just because of like the way that we were like transporting ourselves. A lot of it was walking. It's hot, humid days, and we've got young kids. And so that kind of just got like kind of run me down a little bit. So the busyness of the city too. I always felt like when we were out anywhere with kids, like I had to be on edge. Like there's so many cars and like things to just look out for that I was just like, okay. So my mind was like really ready for a little bit of a switch up. So landing in Australia, I felt really similar to you, like just being able to land and speak English to every single person that worked there and be
Yeah.
able to read all of the signs and know you're going in the right way. Even just like really simple things like using Uber, like, just stuff that you're like, okay, this kind of feels more like at home. So I felt the same way. And then we actually got to, like, we landed in Brisbane. We drove to Gold Coast, and Gold Coast is where we stayed the whole month that we were there. And we got there on like a kind of rainy-ish, cloudy day. And then the next day when we woke up, it was like beautiful and sunny. We went right down to the beach right away. And just like seeing the beach, the water, it was stunning. Like it's so beautiful. And I remember I looked at Aaron, I'm like, we had to sit in there a full 24 hours. And I was like, I'm coming back here. Like this is going to be a place that I visit again. And I feel similar to you as well in the sense that I wish that we could have explored a little bit more, but also too, there's pros and cons to that as well, especially with kids. Like there is, we enjoyed having like a home base for a month where it was like you could get into a bit of a routine and you could explore the areas around you and you just kind of had a place you're going back to. It can be hard, like if every 2 weeks you're kind of packing up and going. It's just you never get like settled and you're always it's really it's hard on us sometimes as adults. So I can imagine like having a 5 and a 3-year-old, it could be a challenge for them too. So it is nice to be able to stay in one place for a month. I feel like now I have to go back because I want to see so many other things. I want to go up to the north. I want to see the Great Barrier Reef while it's
Yeah.
still around. I want to go like, there's so many things I want to do. I want to do the tennis tournament in Melbourne too with you guys. So like, yeah, I definitely know, like I know where we will end up going back there. We didn't fully get the extent of Australia by staying in that one place, but we did like what we could to explore different places and drive different, spots and stuff. So, all little day trips and stuff like that. So we got to explore the area we were in, but I would love to go back and just see more because it seems like an awesome place.
Yeah. I think one of the things we all agreed on is that when we go somewhere, we have to have a car. Like,
Yeah.
because we didn't have a car for the first, I don't know, what, week
It
and
was
a half,
probably,
maybe,
yeah, it was probably only like 10 days.
in Australia. And you're just so like confined to such a small place. And
Yeah.
it's not like there's not stuff to do. It just gets very repetitive. You go to the beach, you go to the same beach because you can't go 5 kilometers down, or you go to the same walking paths that you go to, or the same parks. And it's a little different in a city like Bangkok when we didn't have a car because I mean a ride is like dirt cheap. Like you get a ride for 15 minutes and it's like $3.
Yeah.
You do that in Australia or any like first world country and it's like $15.
Yeah.
So we're very confined, and we kind of just like, hey, do you think we should just get a car? And we both were like, yeah, let's get a car. And then
Yeah.
the next day the day after we got the car, sorry, I think we went down to Byron Bay,
Yeah.
which is so nice because then we just kind of like it felt more like what we wanted to do while we were away is just go and explore stuff, like drive around, look at stuff while you're driving around, park the car, get out, walk around, maybe try some food, get in different, the beaches and the ocean. And so that was huge. And then not to mention, like, while we were in Australia too, we went to numerous like national parks and there was amazing stuff in those parks that we wouldn't have otherwise been able to see. So this is all just, the furthest we drove was Byron Bay, which is an hour and a half from
Yeah.
Gold Coast, or right in the middle of Gold Coast. It's an hour and a half from downtown because that's where we were staying.
Yeah.
But I feel like even just the car made a huge difference because now we could go and just find something on the internet and go and explore it and check it out. So I think going forward, when we do go away places, it's like almost essential to have a vehicle just so you can bugger off and go check stuff out.
Yeah, I agree. And I think too, like even with Thailand, like there's no way we are safely driving in that country. Like,
I
so
had no
like
way.
there's no way. Like we be the cause of accidents left, right, and center because their rules for driving there is just so not how we drive at home. So when you go to a place like Australia, yeah, like even though you're driving on the other side of the road, which is a bit of an adjustment,
Yeah.
still like they have actual rules that you abide by. That's not something you find in Thailand. So like renting a car there would not have been an option, but here it totally is. And I also think too, like we were a little shell shocked by like the cost of renting cars in Costa Rica because that like it's actually not like that in most places. But when you go to Costa Rica in high time, you're gonna pay a pretty penny to rent a vehicle. Like I think it's like $2,500 a month is what we got our vehicle for.
Yeah, it was
It
not
was
cheap.
high. So then we were like bouncing around with the cost of or like the idea of renting a car in Australia. And when we found out the price, we were like, oh, this is nothing like what it is to rent a car in Costa Rica. Like this is
Yeah,
reasonable.
done.
This is reasonable. So it made a ton of sense for us to be able to do what we wanted to do. And like I think too, like just being able to go to the national parks, drive around, there's so much you can see in Australia for free that it's like if you just have access to getting there, it's so worth it. So I definitely would recommend a car when you're staying there. And we would have people like, we'd ask them like, oh, what should we do? And they would recommend like all these things. They'd be like, oh, there's a water park and a theme park and this and that. And you got to go do this. And we had no desire to do any of that because in Thailand, like you can do all of that and they have no rules and you can feed animals, you can touch them and you can do all this stuff. Like your experience there, I feel like it's so cool that it was like we had no desire to do any of those things when we were in Australia. We literally just like went to national parks, went to beaches, went to the pools that we had, and it was nice. It was just like there was no real agenda. It was just we could do whatever we wanted in that time, and I don't know, it felt good. I liked that.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I mean, if we're going to a major city like Bangkok, I don't think I would get a car. But to go anywhere else is like that's one thing I took away from that trip was just like you need a car to go and explore,
Yeah.
especially the way we like to explore. Like when we go somewhere, we like to kind of feel out the culture and the people there. And I don't really think you can do that easily because if you go to without a vehicle, because like even in Bangkok, where we were, I mean, if somebody's a tourist going to Bangkok, that's where they're going. Like where we went, right downtown,
Yeah.
that's where they're going. It's not like Thai people who live, just outside the city or anything like that. I mean, but if you don't have a car, you can't go and sort of experience that. And there's all kinds of little towns. And we went to Pattaya in Bangkok or in Thailand, a couple hour drive away. And even that's a very different feel. But
Yeah.
I think just the way we like to travel, we need a car just to go and experience the place that we're going.
Yeah.
Since that's one of the huge things that I took away. Even just when we got the car, I'm like, oh, this feels a lot better. We can just take off and go check stuff out, whatever it might be. Like, we found a park, a wild, or I don't even know what it was, a wildlife park, like a wildlife reservation type park in the middle of the city. And there's kangaroos everywhere in there. There's koala bears everywhere in there. And it's just free. You just walk around this
Yeah.
park with trails. It'd be like, here in Chilliwack, walking down the Rotary Trail or something along the river and seeing kangaroos and
Yeah.
whatever, with bears or
Yeah.
something. Here it would be bears and bald eagles and salmon. I don't know.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that was so cool. And that was probably one of my highlight days was the first day that we went there because it's one of those like cliche things of like, oh, if you're
Sure.
I was gonna say Costa Rica, but if you're in Australia, like you need to go see kangaroos. And so that was a really cool thing. And I think too, like just having kids there with you heightens all of those things because
Yeah.
it's like 10 times cooler for them. And so then you get to see it through them and their experiences. So that was a really cool and fun day.
It was one of my goals too. When we went to
Yeah.
Australia, one of my goals was I'm gonna find wild kangaroos and would like to find a wild koala too. And we happened to
Yeah.
find them both in the
And
same day.
koalas aren't that easy to spot. And
Yeah.
sometimes like we've heard that you can go to that park and not see one. So we've been lucky because we went to that park twice and we saw koalas both times.
Yeah.
So we're lucky on that.
I wasn't feeling too good about it though when I talked to a couple of
The first
people and they were like they said basically, hey, if you're trying to find a koala, I've lived here for 23 years and I've never seen a wild
time I've seen
koala.
one.
And I was like,
Yeah,
what? And then next thing you know, they're like roaming around a free, wildlife park in the middle of the city.
I know. I'm like, clearly you've never been to Kumbaba
Yeah.
because they're everywhere.
Yeah. But I think Australia was just a wicked cool place and
Yeah.
definitely somewhere where we will go back and explore a little bit more
Yeah.
and check it all out.
Yeah. I agree.
What's your feeling since we've been home? I mean,
Uh,
we traveled 28 hours on the way home, but what's your feeling since we've been home? How do you feel
hey,
about it?
I have really, really mixed feelings about it. There's obviously good things. Like the good things are like being back into, and if you guys like listened to the last episode, the Q&A, like someone had asked like, what do you miss the most? And we had kind of talked about like our stuff, like just being in our own house again and having like our own stuff. And so that is something that I feel right now. Like it's nice to be in our own house with using our own things, like having our family close by. Like our kids right now are with my mom. Like, stuff that they haven't been able to do that either for 6 months. So it's like cool to be back and be able to be around family and stuff again. But I don't really know how to put it into words best, but I feel like I have kind of like moved on from like here. And so to be back, it feels weird a little bit. Like I'm feeling a little bit out of place. And then on top of that, the weather sucks.
Yeah, the weather's brutal.
And like I know that we're spoiled because we just spent like 6 months in sunshine, but I'm like, I don't think that this is what I want to live in anymore. Like it's really opening my eyes of like when you can't go outside because it's 4 degrees and raining all day, you're like, this is the worst ever. Like, how do I get out of here? I literally looked the other day, I was like, how much does it cost to live in Cabo for a month? Like, I think we need one more month because I'm not ready for this. Like, I need spring to come. So I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at. I feel like a little bit out of place. Like, I don't really know if I want to fully settle in here. Like, it's hard. It's weird.
Yeah, the weather. I feel like you almost when you live here permanently, you just kind of like accept that it sucks. You know,
Yeah.
you're just like, oh yeah, no, it's gonna suck for 5 months, and but it's kind of opened my eyes being away. I'm like, no, this is actually really awful. Like this weather is the worst combination to me. Like
Yeah.
I'd rather have minus 20 degrees and the sun out than and snow everywhere. I'd rather have snow all over the ground here, to be honest, than rain. Like rain's awful. You go outside and you get wet and you're freezing cold and it's game
Yeah.
over. Like go back inside.
Yeah.
And it's so dark. Like even just being back here with how dark it is and gray, you're just like,
Yeah.
I'm not a depressed person by any means. So I'm like, oh, this must feel like this is what like depression feels like.
It's like 2 o'clock in the afternoon right now as we're filming this, and it is like gray and dark and dreary. And I'm like, how can the whole day feel this heavy? Like it just is
But
not
it's
for me.
weird because we've lived here for better part of our lives. So we've
Yeah, my
seen
whole
this
life.
like, 25 times probably call it.
Yeah.
And I don't know, just coming back from, I mean, we've almost had a year of sun because,
Yeah.
back here it was summertime for like 4 months before we had left. And then we
Yeah.
left and we were gone for almost 6 months. So it's like 10 months of straight sun.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just coming back is just, that's a real negative in my mind, just being back and it's dark and gray and raining. And I don't like that. But one of the really nice things is we were cooped up in small apartments for like 6 months, like tiny, tiny, tiny areas, 2 bedroom apartments. And I mean, when we're gone, we're not planning to spend all day in the apartment, but you are in the apartment for a while. So you're always very close to each other. And it's been super nice since we've been home to just have space. Like, I mean, this house is quite a bit bigger, but even the kids can go outside or whatever. They can just go and play, and we have toys here for them to play with rather than
Yeah.
no toys in a condo.
Yeah.
I like that. Another really simple thing that I've enjoyed being back is just being able to drive our own vehicles, come back and drive our vehicles. It's been really nice going up and down the hill again in Ryder Lake.
Yeah.
That's been really nice. And then seeing some people we haven't seen in a long time has been nice as well. But I do feel the same way as you, like, it's very mixed, like, very mixed feelings and, um, yeah.
Yeah. I know. I feel like I wasn't, especially being in Australia. I'm so glad we went to Australia because at the end of Thailand, I was like, feel like I could go home now because I just feel like kind of tired of the travel. And so at the end of Thailand, I felt like that. I'm so glad we went to Australia because the experience was really cool. Australia basically checked off like all of my boxes. It was like food I actually want to eat for not an astronomical price, beaches, sunshine, like a culture that feels similar to home, which like could be a pro or con, I guess, depending who you are. But for me at that point, like being outside of a cultures that felt like ours, it felt nice to kind of be able to integrate back into one that felt similar. So it checked off a lot of boxes. So I'm so glad that we went and did that. But it is really hard leaving somewhere like that to come back to here where it's like, it, it has some of the elements, but it doesn't have like the weather thing. I'm really starting to learn about myself. Like that matters to me. Like the environment that I'm in and the weather that I'm in, it helps me a lot and helps me feel good. And like I feel motivated and inspired. And like when it's sunny out, just like I really care about that. So yeah, it's interesting being back for sure.
One of the things that I learned from just the 6 months we were gone was like even just a short time we've been back home, it's been really obvious is I really like to just explore stuff and it like it's like stimulating to me like oh what's around here or what can we do like that's different we've never tried before like with the
Yeah.
kids or whatever in the ocean on land is there somewhere we can go and take a hike like I really like that and being home I mean there's things I can do here for sure but so many things that are here I've done a lot of times so
Yeah.
it's the exploration piece of life I gotta find a new way I feel to explore, like explore something. And when we were gone, it was exploration of geography, exploration of different animals, exploration of new experience. So that piece, since we're even home, it just doesn't feel like it's there anymore. Like it just is immediately gone. Because when we were traveling, that's all we were trying to do every day is just let's find something new and fun to do. Or if we've done it before, let's do it again, like and explore something different about it, try something new.
Yeah.
And being back home, that a lot of that feels gone right away. So I realized about myself that I like that. I like it's very like stimulating to me to try and figure out what would be a really fun experience here or while we're gone, what's there to do. Let's go and do it, check stuff out. And I really enjoyed that.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree too. But I think as well, it also kind of opened up my eyes because we do also live in one of like the most beautiful places in the world. So I think like to not discredit that also because when we would go and like do these hikes or something in Australia and like go and find waterfalls and stuff like that, I was like, we have stuff like this at home too that we just don't do because it's such an oversight. Because you're like, oh, I have access to it every single day. So like I could do that whenever I want. Like it loses its, I don't know, its draw or its appeal.
I know
And what?
I know what you're saying, but I would say like it's not the act of hiking that you're after. Like the hiking is the same. You put one foot in front of the
Yeah.
other. It's seeing a sign that says there's carpet python snakes on this trail,
Yeah.
or seeing a bird you've never seen before. It looks
Yeah.
crazy, or seeing a giant spider on a web, or hearing people talk in a different language. You know, do things a little bit differently. Like that's what it is. It's not so much. If I were to go hiking here and every time I went hiking, I saw a different animal or something. That's a little bit different. So yeah, we have
Yeah.
we have hikes here, but they're all relatively the same because you're gonna find the same animals. Obviously, you're gonna find the same people. Generally speaking, and they're all gonna be in the winter months. They're all gonna be wet. There's gonna be water flowing around. There's gonna be mud all over the place. In the summer, they're gonna be different than that. So
Yeah.
I would say it's more that, like it's more the supporting elements of the hike that are exciting. I could go swim in the ocean in Vancouver or somewhere here, but like I can't see in the water. I can't look at fish with goggles
Yeah.
on. I can't. I'm gonna
Not the same.
freeze. I'm gonna wear like it's just a different experience, but they're both swimming.
Yeah.
I think that's the exploration piece, is just all the new elements that are with it when you're somewhere else in the world.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so true. But I also do like still think on my point of like it is still nice to be able to take advantage of the things you have access to. Like I think if you're
Sure.
just like, this is so boring and we have the same things, like that's a choice you're making,
Yeah.
like a decision you're making to like not respect what you have. And so
Yeah.
I think it like what I was just trying to say is, which I do agree with you, like, yeah, of course, it's so cool when you're on a hike and you like see different things and you're like, that's so cool. Like, I've never seen that before. You're not going to get that necessarily here with hikes we've done a million times to different waterfalls or different viewpoints or whatever.
Yeah.
But just like being aware that like we actually do have so many of these things.
For
They
sure we
do
do.
exist here. Like we
Yeah.
have so much of it. And so at least for me, like I look at this as like, okay, yeah, I've done it a million times, but my kids haven't. And so how do we make this an enjoyable thing for us all to do together so that they can have that those experiences that like maybe we're not giving them because to us it's like old news, right? So it's just like it kind of put into perspective for me like I do have a lot of these things and when it's not pouring rain, then I would love to go and experience some more of them. So just like yeah, just knowing like we do have access to a lot of that and it kind of just reminded me of that because we do live in a really cool part of the world and a place that a lot of people want to be.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's just like I do have gratitude for that too. But yeah, it is definitely like a weird and a different transition because now you're kind of just like, you've just spent 6 months. I almost view it as like a post adrenaline rush crash. Like you've just spent
Yeah.
6 months where like
Yeah.
everything is new, right? Like everything is new, everything's exciting. Even when you go and drive, we would drive up into the mountains, and even that was cool because you're like, oh, this road is so unique, or like that's a really cool field, like just
Yeah.
stuff that you've never seen. So it's like everything you're doing is new and interesting to you. So then to come and be like plopped back, it feels like you just experienced this whole new life and then you're back into like the old life that you are just like picking up where you left off. And there's, yeah, it's like I can feel like the post travel. I don't want to use the word depression because I don't feel like that's what it is, but it's just like the post travel blues where you're just like,
Yeah.
here I am, like back where I left off, you know?
Yeah, like I agree totally with what you're saying. There's so many cool things around here, and like an example is Baker and I went swimming in a river in Australia. We were up in the mountains and all of a sudden found a river, and we just went swimming in the river, and the river's like turquoise, and there's the rocks are just different than here. So it's not very different, but there's enough things that are different about it to feel like a whole different experience. Yeah, I
Yes.
swam in the Better River here a million times, and it's awesome to swim in it,
Yeah.
but it's just different, right? Like
Yeah.
it's different because I've never swam in a river in the mountains in Australia where the water's turquoise blue, and but I've swam in this river here. It's crystal clear in the summertime, the river,
Yeah.
and you can see some fish under the water and whatnot, but they're just different, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that piece of it is it does feel like a little bit of a like a blues or something where you come back and it's almost like the stimulation is dropped so far down
Yeah.
that you kind of have to find new things to like I don't know, just explore is the best way that I can put it. One
Same.
of the things I have enjoyed just being home is having having my a bunch of books again to read. That's my latest exploration is just words on pages.
Yeah.
So what about we had a pretty flawless travel day back, I would say.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
it was shaping up to be quite I don't know, maybe this is negative, but it was shaping up to be kind of a not so good flight back. Normally when we fly with the kids, we like to go at night and they just get to the airport, crash on the plane and wake up. They're kind of out until the plane lands, but coming home, we had a flight at 10:30 out of Brisbane in the morning. So they were going to be awake. And we would land in LA at like 6:30 in the morning, 6 o'clock, I think it landed.
A 13-hour flight, just under 13 hours.
Yeah, it was a long one.
Yeah.
And it turned out to be, it couldn't have been any better.
No.
Like the kids, Baker they all have TVs in front of them on flights that long and
Yeah.
we serve food and all kinds of stuff. So Baker both of the kids, I think they maybe slept for 3 hours of it, but and outside of that, they were just money on that flight. They just did their own thing. Baker colored for a while. They would run up and down the aisles, and they were actually respectful of other people,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
was awesome.
Yeah, it was so good. They had endless snacks, like
Yeah.
because on those long flights, like they'll just have trays of snacks in the back, and you can just go grab. And so we would every, few hours we'd go back and grab, take a kid and go load up on more snacks. And so, like, they had so much to keep them entertained, and it honestly could not have been better. Like, I think there was like 2 hours left in the flight, and I was like, I'm like talking to Aaron,
What?
nudging him, like crossing my fingers, like this has been so good, like so much better than I would have anticipated. So I'm so freaking thankful for that. And then so we landed in LA. And then this is where it got a little hairy because we landed in LA. We had a 2.5 hour layover there. And it's like we just got off a 13-hour flight. The kids are like they want to run and jump and play and like be crazy. And Aaron and I, it's like the middle of the night for us, technically Australia time, right? So it's like the middle of the night for us. The kids are going nuts because they've exerted like very little energy. They've ate 18 cookies each. And Aaron and I just want to like do nothing. And so that was hard for me, like emotionally, because I was just like, can you just not sit and watch this show and be quiet and still for 2 hours? But they obviously didn't want to do that because they just did that for 13 hours straight. So, um, yeah, that part was a little bit challenging. But then we had to get on another flight from LA to Seattle, and again, it being in technically our middle of the night, we all fell asleep that entire flight. Like our
Yeah.
kids didn't wake up until the wheels hit the tarmac. Like everyone slept. Baker fell asleep before the plane even took off. Like everyone was just done. We were wiped. So that was perfect because then they slept that whole flight too. So, and then we landed in Seattle. We had a really quick layover, like an hour or something like that from Seattle to Vancouver. And then that flight is only a 45-minute flight or something. It's so quick. So everything went so smoothly. No bags were lost in transit
The
on
whole
these
time.
three flights.
Our whole
The whole
travel, no
time, the
bags. Yeah.
whole travel, we'd never lost a single bag. No flights were like ever delayed or canceled or anything. Like we have the travel gods
Yeah.
in our corner because everything went so good. And yeah, I was worried about that 13-hour flight with the kids during the daytime, and they rocked it. It was
They
so
did.
awesome.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
killed it. They
Yeah.
definitely killed it. It's
Yeah.
changed my perspective on a 3 hour flight now. You go from like Vancouver
Oh,
to LA or something. It's like that's like a 5 minute flight now, it feels like.
oh, it's so fast.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just so fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, then we got home and obviously very different time change. So I think everybody's done really well except for Luca. Like Luca's had a couple of rough days. He was up till like 1 in the morning one night, and then another night he got up. He didn't go to bed till like 11. He was wide awake watching the show at like 11 p.m. And then he's trying to sleep into like 10 in the morning. So, but I think it's gone about as good as it could have with uh, even you and I. I mean, we've been able to fall asleep relatively good,
Yeah.
given talking about like a massive time change. It's like
Yeah.
7 hours or something. It's actually like 18 forward, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's done. Baker's been awesome. I mean, Baker,
Yes.
he's kind of just run himself till he has no energy left, and then at night he's like, I can't even, don't even know what time it is, anyways. I'm just gassed,
Yeah.
and then he collapses on his bed and falls
Yeah.
asleep. He has
I
had
do
no
notice
problem.
though. I do notice with like I notice it myself, but I notice it in the kids too that even though they'll like wake up, let's say at like 9 or 10 because of they've been going to bed super late, right? Because at 7 o'clock or whatever, it's 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon technically for us, right? So when we're trying to get them ready for bed, their body is like, I'm ready to go play. I want to go
Yeah,
jump and run around. It's been really hard to settle them at night. And even for myself, I notice this too. Like I will be physically exhausted. My eyelids are heavy, all of it. And I'll go and lay in bed. And I feel like I have this like a surge of adrenaline rushing through my body. Like that's how it feels. Like my body doesn't want to slow down yet. So that adjustment has been hard. And it's been hard to just like have the kids awake until 11 p.m. at night. Like that is, you're up with them in the morning and then they stay up till 11. You're like, what the heck is going on? We've been doing our best to like have naps, like make sure no one's napping. And
Yeah.
that's hard. But like still we haven't no one's had like an outrageous nap for like 3 hours in the middle of the day. Like none of that has happened. Really, they've just like fallen asleep in the car for like 20 minutes here or there or something like that. It's been really quick. But even that too, like it drags on the night. So that's been an adjustment. But overall, like it's been going okay, other than going to bed really late and them sleeping in. But yeah, I haven't like Baker's been doing really well. Luca definitely has been struggling more. But I think we're turning a new leaf of this. Like, I think it's over the next couple days, it's gonna settle itself out.
Yeah. Maybe
Yeah.
it's hasn't been bad at all. Like, it should take you like a week to sort yourself out, and we're only on like day 3 or 4.
Yeah.
What do you think? Okay. What do you think is maybe the top 1 or 2 things you learned, or I don't know, lessons that you take from going away for 6 months?
Okay. You put me on the spot. There's there's a million. I would say that one of the biggest lessons that I've learned has been that you can, I mean, maybe this is just because of like the situation that we're in, but like you can figure things out to like align with the way that you want to live. And I mean this in the way of like, I mean, I like, for example, I complain about our winters here all the time. I complain about them. I don't like it when I'm in it. I don't like it. I don't like the rain. I don't like it. Going away for 6 months has made me be like, I don't need to do winters again if I don't want to. Like, it's made me just see that like it actually is easy. I shouldn't say easy. It is possible to figure those things out if you actually allow yourself to figure them out and think that it's a possibility for you. So that would be thing. Number one is like you can make anything a possibility for you. Maybe that's just again like directed to our current circumstances, and it probably is because of like the way that we have things set up. But I think that's one of them. And another one is that we are really lucky to live the life we live and to live in the place we live and to have the homes we have and to have the friends we have and the community. We're really, really lucky. Like when you go to some of these poorer countries, you go and you see the way that people live in Costa Rica and you go and you see the way that people live in Thailand. It really puts into perspective for you that you are actually part of the like 1% of the population of people who have the things that we have and access opportunity to the things that we have because that does not exist in a majority of the countries around the world. And like these aren't the first countries we've been to where I felt that like, we've been to other countries before as well where I feel similarly. So I feel like I have a little bit more knowledge than just like this last 6 months. But this last 6 months of like being integrated into those cultures and seeing the way that people live and the things they have access to, I like you have no idea how lucky we are to live where we live and have what we have. And so I think it's put like a lot of that into perspective for me and has really taught me that like that is what I want to also be able to show my children. Like not in like a you need to be fortunate for this because people don't have it, but just like we're really lucky. Like take the opportunities we have here because not everybody in the world gets them and you can go out and do so much good with the opportunities we have here because we have them. So yeah, I think that those would probably be like two of my big ones. I mean, I'm sure there's like a million more I could come up with if I had more time, but that's about it. What about you? Two biggest?
That's my okay, my 2 biggest. One is uh like you have to, if you want something, you just have to go out and make it happen. It's not it's not gonna come like barking at your front door, where it's like, hey, everything's solved and we can go away for 6 months, or we can, like when we decided to do this, there was like 400 things we had to sort out. I mean, we're literally leaving our whole life here
Yeah.
that's set up.
Yeah.
And you had to cancel things, you had to call in, say, I'm not going to be here, blah, blah, blah. You have to change insurances on your vehicles. Like a million, where your vehicle's going to stay.
Yeah.
Like there's a million things that you have to figure out. And even while you're gone, like there's a million things you have to
Yeah.
figure out while you're gone.
Yeah.
And so just, you have to just almost make it happen. Whatever it is, you have to go out and you have to make it happen. If that's what you want, you need to just go and make that happen. And whatever that means, like you got to solve the problems that are in the way. And it's never going to be a perfect time. It wasn't a perfect time for us to go away, but you just have to solve those problems if that's what you're going to do. And it would have been really easy just to stop and say, you know what, we're not going to go right now. Whatever. This is getting in the way. That's getting in the way. But I really think we would have never have gone if that's the attitude that we had had.
Agreed.
Um, we would have always just said, hey, this is not the ideal time. Well, it's never going to be
Never.
like,
Yeah.
especially something like this is never going to be ideal. Like it's a long period of time and it's a big commitment. And you almost just have to make the commitment that this is what we're doing. And
And
then
then you figure it
every
out along the way.
problem that comes along, you
Yeah.
have to solve with the mindset of that's what we're doing. We're going there on October 1st. And
Yeah.
so knowing that, how do we solve this problem? It's not, can we solve this problem? And if we can solve this problem, we'll go on our trip. It's not that way. It's
Yeah.
the opposite. We're going, how do we solve it knowing that we're going?
Yeah.
So that was a really big one that I learned, and even just being away, is that you just got to make it happen. And then
Yeah.
the second one I didn't yeah, maybe expect to be this way, but I'm just blown away at how fast our kids grow and do new things. And it puts in perspective for me, like, you only have a certain amount of time to do these kinds of things with them, especially when they're little. I thought numerous times, when they're 15 and 13 or 14 or whatever, it's not going to be even close to the same experience that it would be when they're 5 and 3. Like they're gonna want to go and do their own things, or they're gonna, whatever it is, it just will be an entirely different experience than, and so you really only get, I don't want to say so many chances because you get chances, they're just different chances.
Yeah. Because they're old.
Right, they're different. I'll be different in 10 years from now. They'll be different in 10 years from now. It'll be a whole different experience. And so you really don't get that many shots, like to I don't know, be with them when they're really little, or be with them when they're 10, or be with them when they're 15. Like they, it, each of these little stages comes and goes so fast. And you could even see it while we were gone. You could see some of those stages changing in the kids while we were gone on a trip. Like, so that one was really eye opening for me. And I was like, holy smokes, this is happening, and it's happening fast. And
Yeah.
so I thought a lot about that while we were gone, even just being like, wow, if we do this again, um, it just won't be the same. Like it will definitely not be the same, which is also, it's a good thing too, right? Like, I mean, maybe it's a good thing that it's not the same, or maybe you get to do new things that are a bit different. So it's not like it's all a negative. I just realize how fast they actually grow,
Mhm.
and you don't have forever to do these kinds of things with them. So,
Agreed.
um, so I have another question for you.
Okay.
What would, if you were to do it again, the 6 months, what would you change about it? Or if there's numerous things you would change about, what
Like,
would you change?
do you mean also to just going back to the same places for 6 months, or just like in general
Yeah, I
shift?
mean, sure. What if you were to go? If I said, "Okay, 1 year from now, you're going to go on another 6 month trip," what
Yeah.
would you change about it to make it better or different in the ways that you want? What would you change
That's a hard question because I don't.
if you would change anything?
Okay. If I were to specifically, if I was like looking at our experience in Thailand, I would change how long we spent in Bangkok. So I would have done like 2 weeks there and then 2 weeks somewhere else personally, just because I felt like it was a really long time to be in the city for that long. Um, that is really like the main one if I'm looking back at like the actual trip that we just took. I don't think though that I would change like much of the experiences and things that we did. because that's part of the reason why I made that trip so great. Like, because it just was like the way that it all worked out. And those are the memories that I have now about it. And so I don't really think that I would look back on it and change any of that. But like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to answer that question. That would be my main critique of the whole thing would have been the Thailand thing and just splitting it up and doing 2 weeks there, 2 weeks somewhere else in Thailand would probably be my main ones. But I don't know. What is there anything that comes to mind for you? I can't think of any.
I mean, I don't want to say that I would change it because I really enjoyed it all.
So did I.
I think if I were to change one thing, I would change I would change Costa Rica. And not that I didn't like Costa Rica. I would just change, whenever we went somewhere, I would stay for like 1 month.
Yeah.
And then, and I'm not saying leave the country. I'm just saying, if we were to stay in Samara for 1 month and then stay in Hako for 1 month, and
And
then
then go somewhere else.
and then
Yeah.
if we were going somewhere else, go to another country. It doesn't have to be expensive. You could fly for like $70 to El Salvador or something if you wanted
Right.
to. Stay
Right.
there for a month. So I would just because it feels like it's like a good amount of time to explore what's around, see the things around, get a sense of the culture and what's there, but not so long that you're like, okay, I feel like we're doing the same thing every day
Yeah.
forever. Like, when is this going to end? So
Yeah.
I think I would, 1 month seemed like the time we were in Australia just whizzed by. Like, it just flew right by.
Oh, well, we
So,
didn't talk about the cyclone. Part of that is because we had a week where there was a cyclone that came through.
uh,
So it wiped out a week of experiences for us, but that's, yeah, whatever. But yeah, it did go by
it
really
went
quick.
really fast.
Yeah.
So I think knowing that, I I would just break it up into like 1 month. Let's go somewhere for 30 days. And if you're in like an Asian country, I
So,
mean, you could fly places for like $75.
yeah.
Yeah, like cheaper than you can take a vehicle to go to
Yeah.
that place.
Way cheaper.
To go from like Bangkok and then stop in like Malaysia or something. I don't know. It's like a
Yeah.
$100 to fly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not like it's super expensive or anything. And then you're at a different place, a new city or wherever you're staying,
Yeah.
and it would be hard to go to Asia without staying in cities, just because like, I mean, the cities feel like they're a lower standard of life to what we're used to anyway. So I can only imagine being in like rural Thailand or rural
Right.
Malaysia,
Yeah.
not to mention having to drive around. So
Yeah.
I think a month felt like a really nice amount of time in each of the places that we went. So I think I would just chop it up like that a little bit more.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah. And it also taught me like just how quickly a month goes by.
Yeah.
Like, really. It's like, I remember before like planning vacation being like, oh, do we do 10 or 12 days? We'd be like, oh, 12 seems kind of long,
Yeah.
like, and now I'm
It
like,
was like
what's a month?
super
Like,
short.
a month like just flies by. Like, so I was like, I could go on a month vacation at least once a year. Like, that seems like nothing to me now that I've done this. So, um, yeah,
I think the other thing I would change, I I like the cities. Like, I did like Bangkok in a lot of ways, but I feel like the exploration of it is not as great as when you're in like a rural area where you can have a vehicle and stuff.
yeah,
So I think if I were to do that, and again, I don't know that I could do this in Asian countries. Like, I don't know that we could do what we did in Costa Rica and Australia. We just live in a little town or something or a city, and you rent a car and you just explore. Like, I don't think I would want to do that in Asian countries.
yeah,
So maybe those are off limits at that point. But to go to Europe and stay in a town in Spain along the water or something and have a car and drive around.
yeah,
Yeah, like, I think that's what I would do. I would just break it up in that way, and I would tend to stay to places where I could probably have a vehicle and go out and explore those areas. Because those are the places that I enjoyed the most when we were gone.
yeah, yeah. I agree. I agree. But all in all, it was so cool. And I'm so glad that we did it. And like, essentially what you said, like you just have to decide and figure it out. And we just essentially like ripped the band-aid off and was like,
Yeah.
we're either doing this or we're not doing it. And so what's it going to be? And I'm so glad that we did it because it's been a lot of growth, not just for us, but for our children. And like
Yeah.
being able to have that experience with them is so cool. And like, I don't think that this is the end. Like, that this was just kind of like the beginning. We're coming home now and having a bit of a reset. And then I think that you guys will see more of this from us over like the course of our lives. Like I'm not saying it's going to be tomorrow, but like I think that this might start a little trend for us because I loved it so much and I mean would do it again in a heartbeat.
I
And it
think
was
it showed like,
the best.
especially I think, yeah, I think it showed like you can have like elements of that. You can bake elements of that 6 month trip into your, life
Yeah.
once a year or something. Like I'm not saying every day, but you can bake pieces of that into your life that on a like annually. So you could go, you don't have to go away for 6 months, but like you said, we could go to Cabo for a month
Yeah.
and get the same sort of vibe, but we don't have to do that 6 months every year or two. Like I think 6 months is a little probably long.
Yeah.
Like
I feel
if
like
we were to
ours
go again, I think we definitely will go do something like that again.
yeah.
Probably not 6 months, but
I feel like our sweet
maybe
spot would be like
3.
3. Yeah.
Yeah, and one probably relatively frequently, like just take off for 1 month
Yeah.
and go. So yeah, I think the sweet spot would maybe be 3 to go and check out a few different places, and it might be a little bit as the kids get older, it might be a little bit more frequent, just moving to place, like maybe every 2 weeks instead of one
Yeah.
month. Because right
Yeah.
now it's pretty hard for the kids just to move around, but
Yeah.
as they get 8, 10 years old, kind of thing, to stay 14 days and be able to go to 6 places over the course of 3 months, that I think
Yeah.
that would probably be more along the lines of what we would do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely think that it's going to happen again. It might look a hair different, but the concept is awesome, and we both had all four of us had an amazing time, and it was something. Yeah, I just think something you're gonna look back on for the rest of life.
Yeah. I agree.
So it was a good trip,
Super good.
and
And
now we're home. And go ahead.
I said it was super good and I am already missing it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, elements of it for sure.
Yeah. Totally. But yeah. Anyway, for now we're soaking in life back at home and that's where we'll probably leave it for tonight. Good.
Okay,
All right. Well, thanks guys
alrighty. Well,
and
see you
we'll see
on
you.
next week.
Yeah. Bye.